everybody. Welcome to Attitudes with Andy and a special guest. This is the place where we get to learn and grow together from the incredible guests that we have on. And today we have a different bit of a layout, different vibes going on here. Good vibes, but different vibes. So, do you guys know that person in your life that you just go to for advice? That person who is a wise old soul in a young person's body? Well, that is who we have on today. We have Mr. Cato, and I wanted him on because this is a man who I definitely go to for advice. Remember that time I was like, I need your help with something. Yeah. And I feel like you have very good insights and thoughts and really good experience at such a young age. So I wanted to get Cato on because I'm going to be throwing life thoughts and concepts at him, and I want to pull them apart with him, and I want to get your opinion because this has been the year of realizing things. That's a quote from like Kylie Jenner, I think. Anyway, but it really has been the year of realizing things, and I want to talk about them with you.
Let's do it.
So welcome, Cato, to the podcast.
Thank you so much. I love your intro.
Oh.
You sound so good. I love it. That was amazing. That was so good. I'm great. I'm an open book. I'm ready to open up some realizations and relive some Kylie Jenner quotes. You know, let's do it.
Let's do it.
Let's do it. Yeah, I'm keen as.
Yeah, and Cato and I both have like crackhead energy, so.
Yeah, hard. Yeah, we do.
We do.
Like, you think we've been sitting here for like 5 minutes? No, we haven't been sitting here for 5 minutes. We've been sitting here like cracking jokes about all sorts of things for like at least 20 minutes. It's great.
Oh, yeah, we'll keep it. We'll keep it appropriate.
yeah, we might keep it appropriate for this segment forwards. Yeah.
Okay. Sure. Before we get into our deep thoughts,
all right,
I would like to know
some shallow thoughts.
What did you have for breakfast?
Well, yeah.
I love to ask people that question.
What did you have for breakfast?
Yeah.
Okay. You want to know?
Yeah.
Absolutely nothing.
Oh, you're fasting?
No, I'm not fasting. I just had a coffee.
Oh.
I kind of woke up and came straight here today.
Nice.
I've been resting lots lately, actually.
Good. We love that.
Yes, it's been good.
Season of rest. Okay, no, that's not actually the question I wanted to know. If somebody was like, wow, who is Cato? I've never met him. How would you describe yourself?
This is not an easy question. I find these questions so hard. I'm like a thought. I would call myself a thought experimenter, and like, that's such a bad explanation. That is, how would I describe myself? I would describe myself at this point in my life as somewhat of like a magician archetype, and I know this is gonna. I know.
No, keep going.
Okay. Magician archetype, and somewhat of like a bit of a spiritual warrior at the same time, but like not your
woo.
No, like you wouldn't look at me and think it. You'd think, oh, he's really active. He's pretty determined. He's doing things in his life that, you know, make a difference for the people around him. He's in self-development. You know, he cares about being the best version of himself. You know, like a lot of these things are things he's striving for bigger things. You know what I mean? I think that's what people would around me look at.
How I'd describe you.
Yeah, high. I think he's high energy, likes to have fun, and likes to learn. Like really likes to learn and grow and be better. That's probably how I would describe myself to someone else.
Yeah. 100%. Yeah, I like it because you're like a weapon and you'll send it at things, but then you also focus on having fun.
That's so funny.
You're not like David Goggins who just doesn't seem fun. Love you, David, but he doesn't seem fun.
I can't believe I started that with I'm more of a magician archetype. Like I was like, where the fuck am I going with this thing? Like you're sitting there like, Cato, this is okay. I'm happy to listen. Yeah.
He's gonna actually do a card trick for us.
Yeah. This is your card.
Okay, cool.
Yeah.
Now that we got that out of the way, now that you guys know Cato a little bit more,
there you go, done.
Let's ask him about his deepest and darkest secrets. Okay, so something I have been thinking about is the concept of working hard to achieve your goals, whilst also appreciating where you are and enjoying the now.
Totally.
Because I am struggling with that a bit because I think in the last like maybe like 6 to 8 weeks,
Yeah.
I have been like going at it real hard, and
Yeah.
I've been enjoying the grind so much, like
Yeah.
really enjoying it.
Yeah.
Like
Yeah.
when people are like, do you want to do this on the weekend? I'm like, not really. I want to be like editing or working on stuff. But then last night I realized, I was like, am I super stressed at the moment?
Yeah.
And I'm like, am I enjoying where I am and
Yeah, for sure.
appreciating this? Because
For
like
sure.
little Andy a year ago would be like, oh my God, love what
Totally.
you're doing.
Totally.
Whereas I feel like I'm so hell-bent on where I want to be.
Yeah.
Do you struggle with that?
Sometimes, yeah, for sure. I think everyone does, really. Like when
Yeah.
you're working on something and you're grinding hard, before the grind, it's like looking at a big mountain being like, I can't wait to climb this thing. I'm so excited to climb it. And you're climbing the mountain, you're like, this sucks, but I know I want to be doing it. And I think there's a part of you that while you're moving, it's harder to sit in the total gratitude of where you are, because so much of your energy is put towards moving at the same time. So you're like, I'm currently climbing this thing. This is hard. This sucks. I love where I am at the same time, but I can't fully feel that total immersion in the gratitude of the moment because I'm not stopping. You know what I mean? And you can stop. You can stop for a second and smell the roses and be like, wow, this is beautiful. I'm so glad I made it here. But some things I don't think are supposed to be easy. I don't think some things you're supposed to sit there and go, yes, I'm enjoying every moment of this suck. I think we want to not enjoy the suck, because not enjoying certain things and knowing that certain things are hard while you're doing them is what makes you go, I appreciate this in the moment. And then afterwards looking back going like, yeah, I'm glad I did that because that allowed me to grow in this, this, and this. That's my short answer.
No, I love that. I feel so validated.
Okay, perfect, yeah.
But yeah, because I was literally writing this in my journal last night, because I was like, my drive and ambition right now has been the highest it has ever been. Like I am hell bent, and I'm like, get out of my way, like nothing's stopping me, which I love. And I'm almost fearful that if I stop and chill and try and have balance and gratitude, I know I should have, I am grateful, but at the same time I'm like, oh, I'm nowhere near as grateful as I was maybe at the beginning of the year, because I was a lot more chill, whereas now I'm focusing on where I want to be. I'm just not.
I genuinely believe that that's like an attitude of like a higher achiever, because like
thanks.
Yeah, for sure, because like the high achievers don't go, oh yeah, cool, I've done a lot of work today, yeah, I've done heaps, yeah, cool, I feel pretty good. High achievers generally go, I feel like I haven't done enough. Oh, I could have done this better, I could have done that better. And it's just keeps getting the result. And it might be a phase, it might not be a phase, it might genuinely be who you are and you discovering that you just love to hustle and get things done. That's good. I don't think there's anything wrong with that. And yeah, sure, maybe the old you could sit in gratitude of where you were, but that was also a different phase of life. You know what I mean? Some things you bring with you, some things you don't, you know?
Damn, it's like a free therapy session.
I think you're doing so good. I think it's great to be able to be on that grind, you know? And like you can't expect to start every next phase of your life feeling and thinking the same way you did before. You've literally jumped into a new world. Like all of your experiences are different. All the things that you come across in your life and every single day are different now. So it's like, whoa, this is different.
Yeah.
Let's go.
Yeah. Okay. Cool. Yeah. Because I was like, but I am having fun in my own way, you know?
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay.
No, I think you're doing so good. I think
Thank you.
Yeah.
Thank you. I got awkward receiving compliments.
Yeah.
I'm receiving though.
You are receiving. This is great.
Thank you.
Yeah. No, I get that feeling sometimes though. Like, I'm working pretty hard at the moment, but I often feel like I'm not working anywhere near as hard as I am. Yesterday I had a moment of gratitude where I was like, oh wow, this business I'm currently working on, I remember when I just started it, and I remember how I felt when I just started it, and now I know how I feel now, and my whole life revolves around this business. I don't have any jobs anymore. I used to work lots of jobs and have a business, and now the business has replaced all my jobs, all my income.
Huge. That's huge.
It's big, and I don't always allow that to hit me, but when it does hit me, I'm like, wow, but you know what it does unconsciously hit me in all the things that I can now do in my life that I couldn't do before. So I might be able to go out and have a better dinner or buy more groceries for the week or go and do these things, and I might not go, oh, I'm grateful for this moment, but I feel it. You know, like I feel those things. I know that I can do those things now because of my business, and I feel like I'm almost living in gratitude through those things. maybe not practicing it in the moment, being like, okay, yes, I'm grateful for this moment, but I know it.
Yeah.
I think you know it. You know what I mean?
Having the contrast as well.
Yeah, for sure.
Is so good.
Yeah.
Oh, I really love that. It's very important, I think, to remember where you started and remember where you were even a year ago.
Totally.
How good is it when you can go grocery shopping and buy the good products?
Oh, for sure. Just being able
Get my basket.
Yeah. Don't want to put that in my basket. I love that. Just buying like good grocery meat's been like the best thing ever.
Oh, yeah. Okay. Next topic. It kind of relates to this.
Okay.
But next topic, and I want to be sensitive, but at the same time, I struggle to relate.
Okay.
But what I'd like to speak about is there are so many people who want to start something, ask someone out, quit their job, start a podcast, you know, do all the things, start a side hustle, whatever it is. But they just don't do it.
Yeah.
They have all the knowledge. Maybe they've paid for all the self-development courses. They have all the information and they don't take action.
Yeah.
This frustrates me because I don't know about you, but I have tried to help so many people because like people will come to me asking for help or advice and I'll be like, yeah, this is how you do it, blah, 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 blah. And I feel like I've given them all the things they need on a silver platter that in the past I would have loved to have. Yeah. And then they don't take action. And I'm just wondering, why do you reckon that is?
Well, I mean, like, I don't think you should get frustrated and take it personally. I understand that it is frustrating. I totally get that. I've been there. I think everyone has been there at some point. It's definitely the first thing you said is people won't start something. And often people don't start something because they're afraid they can't finish it. But starting something is way more important and way easier to do than finishing something.
What do you mean by finish it?
Well, think, for example, it's like, say you've got a project you've got to work on. Say you're building a Lego structure. Yeah. And you've got this idea for this Lego structure and it's super exciting. Oh my God, that Lego structure, I want to build that Lego. That's so exciting. I so want to build that. And then you look at it and you try and like work out how you would go and do it and you don't even start it because you've got too much, you know, anxiety or paralysis around, oh, well, what if it takes too long, or what if it's too hard, or what if oh wow, this is actually going to take a fair bit of time. I'm not going to do it anymore. Yeah. You know, so I might not finish it. So because I might not finish it because I think it's too hard or I think it's too this, I'm not going to start even doing it. And people sabotage themselves before they've even started doing something. I got taught this by my mentor. He said, focus on starting things. Because I was going through a part of my business where I had so much to do on my to-do list, so many things, and I wasn't doing them. And I was going and doing easier, simpler tasks and not even knowing these things, just being like, oh yeah, I'll do that later. I've got to do these things today. And it was like, no, you actually need to do those things and you just need to start them, because often when you start something, that momentum gives you courage and it also gives you insight into what you're doing, because until you step into the arena of whatever task you're doing, you don't know what it's going to be like. You know, you have to jump in first and go, okay, what's this like? Okay, let's see my next step from here. And I believe that too many people, including myself in the past, have just looked at something and gone, that's too difficult. I don't understand the situation. I feel like I need to know more about it because I don't understand what's coming and I don't know if I can handle what's going to come during this process. So I just won't start.
Yeah, where you're like overwhelmed.
It's a big starting thing because everyone knows the first step. Everyone knows the first step, but no one knows the second, first, third, fourth, fifth, sixth, and that's what stops them. But it's like you had the ability to dream up the first step in your head. What makes you think you can't dream up the second and the third and figure out the fourth and ask someone for the fifth? You know, so I think it's a massive starting thing. I think, if you don't start something, it's a cliche quote, but it's like, if you don't start, you'll never finish. Just start. I think you just got to start. And it's also the idea of like the failing mentality, you know, all through our lives. It's been about passing a test and that test needs to be finished. You know, you've got to pass the exam. All through high school, you can do it right or you can do it wrong. And if you're wrong, you're dumb. You're not as smart. You're not as good. You're not enough for the other people. So now when it goes out into the world and people want to start something, if they don't start, they can't fail in their minds. Instead of like just taking the small loss and being like, hey, I tried this. I believe, and I don't want those people to feel bad at all. No way. Like, look at, like, take accountability and take responsibility, and also understand that, hey, I may have been programmed this way. This may be the story I've told myself for a long time. And the piece of advice that I would give is just find a mentor or a group of people. And if you find a mentor or a group of people, because they've gone through the whole process, when you start having those thoughts of, oh man, I don't know if I can do it, you voice it to them, they'll be like, no, you can, and I'll show you how. I'll show you how. Let me teach you. Let me teach you. Let me help you rewire your brain. And then all of a sudden things become possible, and then you can teach it to someone else and you can help them through that process. You know what I mean? So that's my take on it. I couldn't have done it without a mentor. I think in some ways and some things, yeah, sure, I could have, and I've done that, just like everyone does. You know, we all do certain things by ourselves, but the things that you find the hardest, I'm sure you can figure out a way to do it by yourself. And there's people out there who do it, and there is no shame in getting a mentor. You know what I mean? Like, if we're going into a culture now that's really big on like going to a therapist if you've got mental health problems and things like that. Why can't you go to a mentor if you don't have good business health? You know, for example, it's like, go to a mentor to help you figure out that problem. You don't know the answer to it. Go get help. Go get help. Who's going to judge you? If someone judges you for getting help, fuck that person. Like, no one's going to do that anyway. You know, like, if you fail and you look back in a year and you were like, well, I either didn't start something or I did start something and it didn't work out the way I wanted, you would still rather have done something and it not work out the way you wanted it to.
Yeah, then you know the outcome.
For sure. And I think, like, exactly. And then you know the outcome.
Yeah, you won't be plagued by what if.
Yes. Yes, exactly. That's the worst feeling.
That is.
That's the worst feeling.
Like, I'm terrified of it. That's why I'll just test it.
Exactly. And my mentor said to me, he always paces this in my head, exactly that. He says, you can either go through, because it's going to be painful, 100%. When you start something that you want to do, there will be growing pains. There's growing pains in everything. You want to go to the gym and you're not going to the gym. You're not going because you know it's going to be painful. Like, it doesn't matter what you do. A new business is going to be painful. You might have to go through all those old limiting beliefs and strip off those layers of, oh, this is going to hurt. This is going to suck. I have to put myself out there. I have to, put myself up, sell my stuff online that people are judging every single day. It's like, yes, 100% you do. And you do have to work through that. And you also have to become the person that can sell something valuable enough to you that you respect and that other people respect. And that takes a lot of work. And that's hard. It's one of the hardest things I believe you can do. And yeah, I was going on a roll with that, but essentially, that's right. My mentor was saying, if you go out into the future, what's more painful, not doing it for 10 years and being in the same position, or just going through 6 months of just trying this thing and hurting? You know what I mean? I got so many things I can talk about that on my life recently. My life has changed so much in the past about 3 months. Like, hugely. And this has been a massive thing for me because I hadn't been doing so many things that I wanted to do for years. And I kept going, I know I'll do it one day. And sure, I know I would have, but when I stopping myself, and it was because of the help of a mentor. I don't want people thinking I'm some superhuman. No, I am not. I am a normal person, and I've just had help from amazing people. And I've asked for help from amazing people. I've also had access to amazing people in my life. So if you've got access to amazing people in your life, I would ask them for help. And yeah, that's just allowed me to stop sabotaging myself, take on the hurt and take on the pain. And I've just grown so much in 3 months. It's been amazing. It's been really, really good doing things now that I've never, ever done before because I just got out of my own way.
Getting out of your own way. Yeah. We're the problem.
Yeah. Yeah.
Most of the time.
Yes. Let's get out of my own way by throwing something difficult in front of myself.
Yeah. Okay, sorry if I seemed insensitive about before, guys. I feel like when I asked that question, it seemed like I'd never experienced that. And then when you were explaining that, I was like, oh, nope, I've done that there so many times. I think it's...
What do you mean when you feel like sensitive? What do you mean?
Oh, I think I said, when I first asked you the question, I said like, I don't want to seem insensitive, but it really frustrates me.
I think that's a good thing.
Okay.
I think that's a great trait of yours. I think that's such a great trait of yours. It's like it frustrates you maybe because like you just want people to be better and you want people to be sick. That's what it sounds like to me anyway.
Yeah.
It sounds like a good trait. It sounds like it comes from a place of love.
Yeah.
Sure.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, my sister had to give me a a good talk, because I used to not understand that everyone didn't want to be like a self-made billionaire or
Yeah, I'm the
be
same.
like really ambitious.
Yeah.
I was like, wait, what? You
Yeah.
just want like a normal 9 to 5 and just to
Yes.
coast? But like,
Yeah.
some people are just really
Some
happy
people-
that way.
100%.
And that's
Yeah,
fine.
for sure. I kind of ostracized myself from a friend group for being too much like that at one point in my life because I was too like self-developed.
Wait, what do you mean ostracized? Like,
Ostracized,
did
like-
you separate yourself or?
Yeah, like I did it to myself.
Yeah,
Really,
okay.
you know what I mean? Like they were kind of like pushing against me. Like they were pretty much saying like you can't expect us to be like you. And I
Yeah.
was just figuring out and learning so much. And I was just looking at all the things that I was projecting onto them that were wrong. And they were like, bro, like we don't want to be like that. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like that was so hard for me to accept because I was like, fuck, some people just do want to live that life.
Yeah.
And that's fine.
Yeah.
And I am no better than them.
Yeah.
You know what I
Yeah,
mean? Like
yeah.
at the end of the day,
Totally
if they
right.
are happy, let them be.
Yeah.
And you focus on what you want. And there will always be someone out there who does want your help.
Mm.
So
And the world wouldn't work if everyone had minds like ours, and the world wouldn't work if everybody had minds like.
exactly, that's so
Yeah.
true.
Yeah.
That's so true.
It's got to be a balance.
It's got to be balanced, baby.
Like my sister and I were so different in some areas, but I'm
Yeah.
like, but I love that for you.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah.
For sure. And it makes everything work actually better, to be honest.
There's something that you finished on when we were speaking about your mentor. I really wanted to ask about. Wait, we finished with.
Get a mentor. Get a Mentos.
Now to our quick sponsor.
Yeah.
No,
This week's
okay.
experiment.
Oh, it'll come back. Okay. Next topic I want to talk about
Yes.
is the statement, money doesn't buy happiness.
Oh, I like that.
What do you think of that?
I mean, I've never had a huge amount of money, but when I had more money, I felt so much more secure. Like money relieved me of stress and like my overall amount of, I just believe people who say money doesn't buy happiness. It's like you clearly haven't had a huge amount of money, and if you did, you probably sucked at using it. That's what I've seen. That's what I've heard. I have been around people with a lot of money before, and the whole notion of people with money, they're assholes or they're rude or they're this and they're that is so wrong.
It's so wrong.
Loveliest, best people I've ever met in my life have always had money. They've always had a good abundance of money. They've been able to manage it. They've been able to give it away. They've been able to use it in things that make them happy. Money, 100%, I believe, buys you things that can make you very happy and fulfilled in life. You know, if you've got some mission to go build some school in Cambodia, you can't do that broke. Like if you have this big urge to go and, you know, clean up the oceans, try doing that broke. Yeah, sure, go and raise money, all this, or go get rich, and then go and say plastic, like remove plastic from the ocean. You know, I just know for me, like even the simple thing, like I was talking about before, like the fact that I could buy like meat, a lot of good, really high quality meat every week changed my health, and that made me happier. You know what I mean? I could train harder and all those things. So I believe that, yeah, 100% money can definitely buy you things. And I do believe that you should strive, if not to get at least more money, have management over your money.
100%.
Because it's energy. You know what I mean? It's like if you have impulses that you just go and buy random stuff, it's like, would you just randomly go and like waste your physical energy on things? Like if you got a big day at work, for example, and you only had so much physical energy that you could fit in the day, would you go and waste it by having like a bunch of alcohol in the morning and like destroy your health? No, you wouldn't. So why would you go and waste your money on things that you know you don't need and give into those unhealthy impulses? You know, like you've got physical health, you've got financial health. Like I love talking about it this way because it's like it's a form of, if it's a form of energy and it's a form of something that you have a finite amount of, would you rather have a lot of it or a little of it? And if a lot of it allows you to do more, well, and you get to decide how much you want, you know, like if you decide that, hey, you want $800 a week, great. And if you know how to manage that $800 a week to make you have a good life, great. If you want $5,000 a week, great. It doesn't matter. I don't think it matters how much you want, but I do believe that if you live in the Western world, you're like people who earn more money are happier. I
Mm.
believe it doesn't mean that they don't have past traumas and they're great at everything in their life. Doesn't mean they have great health. Doesn't mean they're great at relationships. But I just believe like if you separate all the other things in your life and you just look solely at money, would you rather have a little of it or a lot of it? And you are going to say, I'd rather have a lot of it. Anyone who says, no, I only want a little bit of money, you are wrong. Like you do, like someone has told you that, or you've had bad experiences in your life from other people treating money wrong. Like I understand and I feel for you, but if you just listen to your heart, you're going to want to have more of it.
And it's empowering having good financial management.
Yeah.
Like some people only have one bank account.
Oh,
like
shit.
one account where they have all their money. I'm like, you're in your 20s, grow up.
Yeah, that would be like I think it's okay to have, if you just have one bank account, I think that's okay as long as you can manage it well. You know what I mean? Like if you know what's coming in and going out of it. But I do think it's smarter to have multiple bank accounts.
But then
for sure.
in my head, I'd be like, okay, but what's for bills? What's for my weekly spend? What's
Yeah,
for travel?
I
What's
get
for
that.
fun? What's for savings?
Yeah, I manage. I've got multiple bank accounts, but I manage most of my funds in one bank account. But that's because I like every single week I do my own like personal accounting.
Yeah, okay.
And so like I know exactly. Say I've got $5,000 in that bank account. I know what percentage of it is for this and what percentage is for this. So I think you can manage it.
But then don't you transfer it out?
Wait, what do you mean? Like, don't I transfer it out?
Like into the other accounts?
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
I transfer it into other accounts and things like that. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. But like it still comes into like one account.
Yeah, same.
But I think you
And then
could,
I have auto transfers to the other accounts.
Yeah.
And I don't have to worry about anything.
Yeah, for sure. I think that's a big thing as well. Like, there are people online and on YouTube and things like that will teach you how to like have good financial health.
100%.
And just savings things. Like it's so good to look into those types of things if you haven't got great money management skills. Like just doing that, especially while you're young. Like I've become obsessed with creating foundations. You know what I mean? Like good foundations. I love
this.
Yeah, I love foundations because we're young. One day we're gonna have to manage, a family, and a partner and kids and all the outgoings and maybe a business and a house and you know what I mean? Like typically, you know what I mean? So if you can't manage a small amount of money, how are you ever going to manage a large amount of money? You have to learn. Like if you can't run 2 kilometers, how do you think you're going to run 50? You can't. You can't. So you got to train for these things. And I think it's just a training thing. It's just a training thing, just a weekly training thing, an hour a week. That's all you need. It's not going to magically happen. It's not like you can just go, I'll just get the accountant to do it. Yeah, you can, of course, and you should when tax time comes, but you got to learn to manage your own stuff, I believe.
Yeah.
Or at least, like if you're in a partnership, someone has to manage it. You don't both have to do it, but like someone has to.
Yeah.
But I think everyone should strive to manage their own money.
But I think even if you're this young and you're in a partnership, you might not end up with that person. So you
true.
may as well
Yes.
learn it.
Yeah,
you don't want to be reliant on them.
100%. I agree.
But
I agree.
yeah, I feel like you do need to learn what works for you because some
Yeah.
people will be fine with having one bank account, whereas I'm like, no, thank you.
Yeah, no way.
Some people might like percentages. Some people might like set amounts. Depends on your thing. But if you guys do want to learn more, go listen to My Millennial Money or read The Best Investor or read Rich Dad, Poor Dad. All of those are really good.
Yeah, for sure.
I went down a rabbit hole during COVID.
Or there's like these on Etsy, there's these like money weekly trackers. They're like, how would you call it? They're just like weekly accounting things.
Oh my God, my housemate just got this. She loved it.
Oh, they're so good.
Yeah.
They're honestly so good. And they teach you how to use it and you just put in all your expenses, all your things, what your savings goals are. I highly recommend this because then you can look at once you do it for like a few months, you can see where all your expenses are going. You might look every week and be like, geez, I'm spending $260 a week-ish on food out when I could be spending that on growth. That's just an example, you know what I mean? Like people do things like that and don't even notice it.
Yeah, it adds up.
Yeah, and it's like, oh, what? I've been spending this much money on this over the past however many months. Okay, I want to stop that and I know I can.
Yeah.
It's just about knowing your outgoings, you know what I mean?
And it's not to shame. It's just to know.
No way.
Because if you go, but this genuinely brings me so much joy and it's not something I want to sacrifice, no, that's fine.
Yeah, for sure. I think that's a big thing about think about how people don't look what's happening with fat shaming at the moment. Like you can't even on Facebook, for example, you cannot put up an advertisement about talking about fat loss, weight loss, fat
Really?
You cannot, because it's seen as the Facebook community as fat shaming.
Really?
Yep, 100%. You can't, like, it's so hard to advertise now as like a fitness trainer.
Wow.
Because they found loopholes around it, but like,
yeah, of course.
they always, because people are smart, yeah. But you can't even talk about it. You know what I mean? And I think,
Wow.
like, I don't agree with that. You know what I mean? I think
because then it's like,
you can't even say, oh yeah, blah blah blah, had an amazing transformation. You can't talk about transformations anymore because it's seen as fat shaming. What I'm trying to say, the point I'm trying to say, we can go on that laugh.
I would love to.
Yeah, the point I'm trying to say is, like, imagine if more people tried to take the shame out of talking about money, because, like, it's like, oh, we don't talk about money because it might offend them. It might do that. It's like, that is the stupidest thing ever. You should talk about money, because if you're sitting there at a table and all your friends are talking about money and you got $300 in the bank account and you're sitting there ashamed of yourself, that shame is not helping you, because you're too arrogant to get out of your own way and ask for some help and ask for some advice. It's like, no, just listen. These are people with money more than you who are managing it better. Don't be afraid and ashamed. I bet if you're vulnerable and you say something like, look, I'm actually struggling. I'm broke and I don't know what I do. Like, I guarantee you people will help you. I guess what I'm trying to say is like the world, in the Western world especially, like, there's a lot of trying to bring the shame out of, like, being fat. You know what I mean? So imagine if we sort of did that around financial health as well. You know, it was just like, we tried to help people more, because it's like if a little kid falls over, you don't shame him. You're like, oh, come on, buddy, let's go. Hey. But it's like, if a little kid was a metaphor for you losing all your money and doing silly things with it, why is that so, like, oh, shame on you, bro, shame on you? It's like, it's just things like that, I guess. You know what I mean?
And shame is such a convenient way to not have to grow. Because as soon as you're feeling shameful, you're not in, like, it's like an excuse to not do anything. I don't know. That's what I found in my life. If I'm like, oh, I feel so shameful of that, it's like, well, that's convenient, because now you feel like you don't have to take action.
Yeah, totally.
Whereas if you're like, okay, this is a sitch. I'm not going to shame. Let's be proactive.
I think feeling the emotion, there's nothing wrong with it as long as you know how to use it. Like, if you're using it and you're like, oh, this feels terrible.
Yeah.
Feel it. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
But yeah, don't sit in the shame of it.
Yeah,
you know what I mean? It's like, okay, that I don't want to feel that shame anymore. I do feel ashamed. Like, there's a paradox here. Is like, I do feel ashamed about it. Let's do something so I don't feel that shame.
Yeah.
And you've got to open up about that feeling, like, to the world. And I don't mean, like, scream it out the rooftops. Like, Instagram story. Hi, I just spent my last $17 on some banana habana. You know? Like, no, like, I don't know why I used that voice for that action.
It was way too good.
It was good. All right. I know. I can do a camp really well. I can get pretty camp.
I can get pretty camp.
Yeah.
Yeah. Sometimes hitting rock bottoms, whether it's like financial or friendships or business or whatever it is, it's actually so good, because then you're like, I never want to feel like this again.
Yeah.
So I'm gonna do everything in my power to not be here.
Yeah, for sure.
For shizzle.
For sure.
Wait, can we just quickly touch on the whole fat thing? That sounds awful, because
Yeah, it's terrible.
imagine being in a larger size body and being like, do you know what? I want to maybe, like, change a bit, and then feeling like there's no resources.
It's just because we live Western society's snowflakey, and I reckon it all comes down to, like, corporate shit. Like, to be honest, it's like companies want to make more money and want you to believe that it's okay to be huge. And so it's just like, yeah, cool, we'll make you feel okay about being massive so that you can keep buying food from us because we're greedy fucks. Like, there are certain corporations that do not care about your health. And so now there's this whole group of people out there who are like, don't fat shame because it's just my body. It's like, yo, look back in time. Yes, I 100% believe genetically. 100% believe genetically. There are larger people, 100%.
Yeah.
I think, like, yes, you should feel okay. That's good. But there are also a lot of people who are denying the fact that you are unhealthily fat. You know what I mean? I know it's easy. You can look at me. I'm some, wiry guy. It's easy for me to say. But when you look at enough research, and yes, I have never been inside a woman's body. I've never been massive and enormous. And I would never take that away from someone who was just... I knew heaps of people in school, and that was just them. I just knew it was just them, you know what I mean? It was just like, I knew they did fitness, I knew they ate well, and they were just larger set people, you know what I mean? But it's when...
So when we cross the line of like,
there's
are we
And there's
promoting obesity.
Yes, it's a very obvious line, and people know when they're doing it. And people, I believe, don't want to take accountability because maybe you are half genetic larger and then half just genuinely just not being honest and accountable with yourself because it's more convenient for you to just lie.
Yeah. But playing devil's advocate, I don't know why I think about this all the time, but I always think about how hard it would be being in a larger size body, but then if you've grown up your whole life being in a family who all are larger size, who all eat shit, who maybe you don't have the knowledge, the resources, the money. Like, we're around people who are so fit and healthy. I've personally been raised by an extremely healthy family.
Yeah.
So like I've had all the odds in my favor.
Totally.
And then it would be so hard for somebody.
It would be shocking to have the world tell you you're wrong. Like, it would be shocking to have society be like not taking that information into account and not being compassionate about it and being like, oh, I can't believe you're so fat. I can't believe you've done, and making you feel bad about it. I don't believe we should make people feel bad about it. I believe we should make people totally accountable if they are straight up lying to themselves and arguing for the it's okay to be this size. It's like, no, that's wrong. Like, that's just unhealthy. I wouldn't want my kids growing up listening to you. You know what I mean? Like, I think from that perspective, but totally, I think that would be so hard if like exactly what you said. Like, yeah, I think those people deserve to be loved and be like, hey, I understand that it must be tough, but let's get you back in really good health, you know what I mean? And let's get you back in the tip-top health and best condition, you know what I mean? I think it would be, the world's unfair, but if it was me, you know what I mean? And like, for example, here's an example. I grew up and it was really hard for me to put on muscle. It was really hard. Like, I had to work harder than most other people because of my smaller, slighter frame. My dad was very slim growing up. My brothers are both very slim. It was a lot harder for us. And then to have the world tell you, you need to be muscular, you need to be this to be the man, and blah, blah, blah. Like it was probably nothing compared to like being massive and fat, you know what I mean? But yeah, it was a little bit difficult, but it was like, you know what I mean? So
and now look at those guns.
Yeah, I can't imagine that being like from the chick. Yeah, what's up? I can't imagine that being from like the overweight perspective, you know what I mean? But at the same time, I just really do not respect people who are like, yeah, it's good to be this size. Yeah, it's fine. It's like, no, it's
really not good for your health.
It's really not.
It's very not. Anyway, that was a random detour. Okay.
Yeah, that was good though.
Next question I want to ask about is ruts, being in a rut. Maybe being in like a mini rut or a major rut. You know what I'm saying? Yeah. Where maybe you've kind of slipped off your habits a little bit. You're feeling not as though, like, anytime I'm in a rut, I reflect back and I'm like, it's purely because I stopped doing the things I was meant to be doing. Even like, when you're just like, no, maybe I won't like just clean my room tonight, or maybe I won't, have that bone broth or go to that gym session. It's like the little things, and then suddenly you're in this like little rut and you're like, oh, shit.
Yeah.
So I've had people message me about getting out of a rut. What's your advice for getting out of a rut?
I think there's lots of things that you can look at, but really, if you knew what you were doing before you were in the rut that made you feel good, it's probably like a handful of like small things really that you were doing in your life that you were currently not doing anymore. And that's probably the first step, I would say. So if you had, for example, a few routines and a few things that you were doing, ask yourself what was going on there. What were the things that were keeping you afloat? Sure, you might be in a rut because you lost your partner. You know what I mean? You've had a breakup. You can't just go back and get your partner to make you feel better. You know what I mean? But sometimes you go through, for example, you went through a breakup, then you slipped off the bandwagon with all your other patterns, okay? Realistically, if you go and get all of those other little habits back, you're not going to be back to where you were exactly, but you're going to be a lot higher than where you are now.
Yeah.
And I think, bit controversial, I don't believe the whole time heals. I don't believe the time heals thing. I think energy and effort heals, to be honest. So like if you're in a rut and you're like waiting to get out of that rut and just praying to nope, I believe energy and effort heals, and you've got to go and do the steps. Life has put you in a place right now that's asking more of you than you thought you needed to give. And it may be unfortunate, but you're there now. That's it. You're there now. You're there now. You know what I mean? Like in 1937, millions of, people around the world didn't ask for a world war, but they're in it and they have to fight it now. You know what I mean? Like we don't ask for these things to happen, but they're happening. And I think if you're going to be a victim to your situation, you're going to stay a victim. You're going to make it harder for yourself. It doesn't mean that there aren't people who love you and support you. It's a difficult situation, but there's a lot of people around the world right now that are in a rut, and it's not about taking it personally either. Don't take the rut personally. It's not that the world hates you or that bad things are happening to you. It's like these things are happening for you. Maybe you need to grow through this. Maybe this is something that was going to come and you knew it was going to come and you just didn't prepare for it properly and you disrespected the situation. And so now it's taking control of you, and you've just got to take control back, and you've got to be very honest and very logical, especially in a rut when you're feeling so emotional.
Yeah.
Because a rut really, when people say they're in a rut, it's like, I'm in a bad situation. It's like you are, but you're in a situation like everyone else. It might not be subjectively a good one to you, but if you put all your emotion into it, like, oh, I'm so sad about my rut, or I'm so angry or frustrated about my rut, it's like you're making it worse. So try to remove the emotion, as hard and as insensitive as that may sound. I'm not saying don't feel it, but remove the emotion from the decisions and the things you have to make, and push through.
Yeah.
I genuinely believe that, especially for men, I believe that you should push through and come out the other side and being like, I beat this beast. You know what I mean? Like there's a certain level of toughness that I believe that comes from any human, but essentially, I think that's my take on it. Like when I'm in a rut, I just know that, to get through it, I just have to push through it. And I just have to think logically, okay, what are the next steps I need to do to make myself feel better?
Yeah.
Yeah.
100%. I really like the taking out the emotion, because I always imagine, if your phone's on 1% and you're going, oh my God, my phone is on 1%. Holy shit, it's on 1%. Oh my God. And you're panicking instead of just being like, okay, my phone's on 1%. Not ideal. Let's charge it. Yeah. And just like stop making everything emotional and freaking out. Because I used to freak out if I'd be in a mini rut or a major rut or just feeling a certain type of way. And then once you just go, okay, this is where we are.
Exactly.
Let's just take steps. You're a lot calmer. You're so much more logical.
Exactly.
And just knowing that like life is literally just roller coaster.
Absolutely.
Ebbs and flows.
And a rut is often like an unexpected dip. It's like you didn't, if you expected it to happen, it wouldn't be a rut. Because it's not, you never look at the future and be like, oh yeah, I probably got a rut coming in 3 months. Never. A rut is only a rut when you didn't expect it.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? But when you're in it, you go, okay, this is the new situation now. Because usually you're in a rut, you're going, oh, I used to be here. I'm comparing to where I used to be. Throw that out the window. Nope. Okay, shit, I didn't see this coming. This is where I am. Take accountability. What put me here? What did I do that put me here? Complete responsibility. If you start blaming shit, you deserve to be there. You deserve to be there and you'll stay there. If you come out of the rut going like, oh, I blame this or I blame that, you haven't learned your lesson, it'll happen again. No, someone broke up with you, whatever. You got fired from your job. Oh, I'm in a rut now. Why did you get fired? What did you not look at? Look, complete accountability. And it's not going to happen again. And if it does, you didn't learn the lesson. Yeah. So that's my take on it. Yeah.
And we're sending love to anybody who is in a rut.
Absolutely.
I know when you're in it, you don't feel like doing any of the habits that are actually going to help
For
you.
sure.
You're like sometimes it just feels like a chore just
For sure.
getting to the gym and stuff.
For sure, but no one's going to save you, unfortunately.
No one is.
No.
I read my journal from, I think it was a little bit over a year ago, and I was just in a completely different world, and I remember I wrote something like, oh, it feels like I keep just waiting for someone to save me or hand me my dreams, and it's like, and I was getting so frustrated at myself because I wasn't doing the things I knew I needed to be doing, because I just wanted someone to hand it to me on a silver platter, and then I realized no one's gonna do that.
That's such a good point, and I just want to touch on that because I think so many people are frustrated in their life, and if you're an unhappy person, just oh, someone said this to me at work and I got triggered, or, this situation happened to me today. If you were really happy with your life, those situations wouldn't affect you, right? And the unhappiness generally comes from people not doing the things they know they should be doing. Like you even said yourself, you were so frustrated that life wasn't being handed to you. But now that you're grinding, it's very hard to be unhappy when you're working towards what you want. Even if you're not where you want to be, it's hard to be like, it's a lot harder to be like, oh, I'm so unhappy and depressed about it, but because you're working towards it. No matter how deep you are on the rut, as soon as you start working, you accept you accept reality as soon as you start working. And when you accept something, all of a sudden it doesn't feel like the world's ending because you've accepted it. It's like, okay, well, this is it now. I've accepted it. So just start working. If you're in a rut,
start working.
Start working.
Okay, what do you think of the quote? I hope I don't butcher this. It's one of my favorite quotes, but it really slapped me in the face. It was like, hard times create
Oh, yeah. I
good.
know what you're going to say.
Okay, hard.
You want me to say it?
Yeah, you go.
So hard times create tough men.
Yep.
Tough men create good times. Good times create soft men. Soft men create hard times.
There it is.
And you can put in men with,
people,
whatever you want. That's just the way I read the quote. But yeah, it's essentially, tough people create tough times. I mean, no. Hard times create tough people. Tough people create good times. Good times create soft people. Soft people create hard times.
Yes.
And it's a cycle.
Yes.
Yeah.
I think it's almost like it could be an intergenerational cycle, because sometimes I'll see, because I went to private school, like I have been around really wealthy people, and sometimes I'll see different parenting styles where like maybe a family is so wealthy and they'll just kind of hand everything to their kids and let their kids do whatever they want. And I just notice that the kids don't really do much because they've just been handed everything.
Totally.
Whereas like some kids might come from a lot of wealth, but then their family are like, nah, bruh.
Yeah.
Like we ain't giving you anything. And then they'll be a lot more ambitious, and it's almost like they got handed everything. They had such good times that now they're, I don't know. What do you think of that?
I totally agree.
Yeah.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah, I 100% agree. I totally, because you just 100% with the parents and the coddling. You see a parent coddling a kid, and the kid grows up to like not be able to control themselves properly or anything like that. It's like, 100%. I mean, I went to private school as well, and I had to buy my own first car. I had to save up for all my stuff. Yeah, sure. My parents were able to do things for me, and we got to go on some cool holidays and things like that. And I'm very blessed to be able to grow up in the family that I did. But I've moved out of home multiple times, fully by myself, worked for myself, got money for myself. You know what I mean? And I'm glad. I do think there's a balance. I'm not saying that like you have to be hard and tough the whole life. You know what I mean? I think there's a like, if you look at, I think parenting, I'm so glad you brought into parenting, because like, look at the parents who do it in a really balanced way. They're super loving, but they're also tough, and they know when to do things, and timing is important. So I just think in the world right now, especially in the Western world, I think this quote is very, very relevant. If you look at all the what's the most recent generation? Gen Zers?
Potentially.
I think it's Gen Zers coming up. Like what the business I'm doing at the moment, I work with a lot of kids. Yeah. Like 4 to like 16 years old, parkour, plug Movement Academy. That's right. Movement Academy, Burley Heads. That's right, looks up. Like there are some absolute awesome kids out there, and they are so fit and so healthy, and I can see how their parents treat them, and it was very similar to how I was brought up. Just being an absolute awesome kid. No.
Shameless plug.
Yeah, shameless plug. And they're so active, they're so healthy, and their parents like are strict on them but so loving. And then I see like the kids who are little snowflakes, hey, and the kids have more power over their parents than the parents have over their children. And it's interesting to look at the parents, and it's like the parents have.
Sorry, how are you saying parents?
Yeah, this is what everyone says to me. Everyone says because listen. This is controversial. Parent, parent. Apparently, how do you say apparently? You don't say apparently. What the fuck? What, he's got it? Apparently she said that, no, apparently. So when you say parent, it's parent. It's fucking parent, okay? This is where English.
What, you just redefining the English
We are
literature.
Australian. We say parent. P-A-A. A-A.
You-
It's not pear. It's not a pear. We're not eating pears. It's not parent. Who says? I feel so strange. You're gonna put up with me saying parent, okay? And anyone else
is
listening?
this what your English teacher told you?
Hey?
Is this what your English
No,
teacher
this is
told
what I told me when I had a brain. Okay?
Okay.
Parent.
Okay.
Yeah, it's parent. I promise, it's parent.
I'm so glad I
I
brought
don't
it
even
up.
remember what the fuck we were talking about.
I suddenly thought, gee, does he have a speech impairment?
You mean a speech in empowerment?
No, don't. Okay, sorry. We were speaking about snowflake kids.
Oh yeah, I was just saying like it's just.
Wait, microphone closer.
Sorry.
Thank you.
Yeah, there we go. Apparently, you got to be close to the microphone. No, so I was just saying like it's interesting that you've got these parents. Fuck off. No, this is fucked. Apparently. Okay, you've got the parents. No, I'm not changing. I'm sticking to my guns.
Okay.
Fuck this. Parents. Okay? Parents. So the parents, you can see that we're cutting this video 100%. I wish people could see the video right now. This is great. Okay, parents.
Do we need to turn my microphone
Yeah,
off?
we sure do. We can turn it off. So,
Okay, no, you keep going. I'll just be laughing off.
yeah, okay.
Okay.
So the grandparents, right, had raised. Oh, that was it. If the parent doesn't do a good job of raising their own kids, the grandparent will raise their grandkids. And you see it. So when you see a grandparent raising, like when I go to work and there's a grandparent and the mum and the kid's being a little shit and the mum or dad can't control the little kid, the grandparents are then trying to control the little grandchild because the grandparents didn't do the best job of raising their own child, and so their own child didn't do a great job of raising their grandchild, and you see the grandparents like sort of raising the grandkids and like trying to teach them the ways that they wish they'd taught their parent, the kid's parent.
So sorry.
We need you know what we need? We need a fucking diagram. We need a diagram and some things just going. Next topic.
Okay,
Next topic.
So I do agree with that. So everyone parent right. Okay.
Yes.
Ooh.
We've won.
Ooh, okay. Ooh, all right. Okay, so what is something that you have realized in the last 3 months? You said you've had a lot of growth. What's something you've unlearnt? What's the hardest thing that you've had to unlearn?
Probably the hardest thing I've unlearned is that not many people will accept the correct pronunciation of parent. That's probably one of the hardest things I've had to unlearn.
I was actually crying.
Yeah. The hardest thing I've learned or hardest thing
You've had to unlearn.
Unlearn.
Like, when you have conditioning.
Probably listening to the weak version of myself as the leader.
Ooh.
Yeah, I got taught this thing by my mentor, and he's like, in every situation, there's a weak version of you and a strong version of you. And the strong version of you is always there, and the weak version of you is always there. And this is basically like your shadow and your light part of yourself. And the weak version of me was taking over a lot of aspects of my life. Strong Cato was always there, but weak Cato was often there when things were tough and times were tough and there was a difficult situation to make. Weak Cato would take over. Oh, dude, just have a bath. Just chill. I know you've been working all day, but, just go and chill. I know you said you really wanted to do that and you wanted to do this workout and you want to do that, but just, just chill, just take it easy. And there's this weak version of us. And society so often goes onto the weak version of ourselves. You know what I mean? That like goes off your quote earlier about the tough times and the hard people. It's like when you listen to the weak version of yourself, you give into your impulses, and impulses are very sellable. You know what I mean? You can sell to your impulses.
100%. You can make up a whole thing like, I really need to just quickly do this because of the, you know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
And then you're like, stop lying to yourself.
100%.
Stop with the excuses.
100%. And that was the hardest thing, but also very quick to unlearn that. And the reason it was so hard was because if you've lived a lot of your life in that place, you start pulling the layers back and being like, okay, I'm not going to eat that. And it starts off pretty easy and being like, oh yeah, strong keto's winning here. Yeah, I'm actually going to eat better and more food for myself. I'm going to do these training sessions. Once you peel back enough layers, there will be some massive thing that you're sitting on. And then all of a sudden it's like, well, who's going to win this? Strong or weak? And it's usually something that is like very difficult to come to terms with, because you may have buried it years ago and it's a massive lie. And it's like the most scary, real things that you've never done, that you've needed to do and you haven't done because you've been lying to yourself.
Whoa. Yes,
and everyone knows what they are, and everyone knows that they scare them. You could be in a relationship you don't want to be in. You could have a fight in you of something that you needed to say to your parent to years, and you've been neglecting and avoiding a conversation. It could be a business. It could be starting at the gym. You know what I mean? But once you start having the little wins and you get the momentum rolling, if you get to a point where that big decision happens, and then the strong version of you can't beat the weak version of you, it's so easy to go right back down to zero, because it's like, well, what type of version of reality do you want to live in? The one where the strong version of you always wins, or the one where the weak version of you at the core still has it over you? Because that's the most important thing that you're not willing to deal with, and the weak version of you has it over you. And I literally can say that I have gone and done all that work. Like, it makes me emotional, because like my mentor showed me, he said to me, like, if you don't do these things for the rest of your life, this is the way that you're going to live. You know what I mean? And it's so hard. It's so hard, because it's relationship ending sometimes. You know what I mean? Or it's complete life altering stuff that happens, but you can't not face it. Otherwise you are a liar, and you feel that in your body, and it's not a good feeling. No, it's a terrible feeling. And it's like, it could be a truth that you've been neglecting. And the scariest thing about it is that in the moment when you're facing the deepest, darkest part of yourself, and you've got an option to be strong and an option to be weak, it's like, feels like the biggest moment of your life. And that's because it is. It literally is. Because if you don't deal with this, it's the thing that you're going to sweep underneath the rug and then go and live a life that's fake.
So how do we uncover that? Because that sounds... Oh yeah, sorry, you go.
Train. You have to train for it.
What do you mean train for it?
Okay, so for example, say I'm going into weightlifting competition and I've got to deadlift 200 kilograms. You know what I mean? I've got to start deadlifting now 20, 30, 40, 50, 60, 70, 80, 90, 100, have those wins. So eventually I have the evidence that I can do it.
But I mean, what I mean is, like, you know how you're like, sometimes you have to face things that you've been covering up.
Yeah.
Like, as in, how do we uncover those things?
You got to uncover all the other shit around it, because I didn't know that my biggest, deepest, darkest things were even sitting there. Yeah, I've probably got more. I'm in the way now of doing crazy, like, we can talk about what I'm doing in my life at the moment, but like once you start uncovering little things, for example, like let's use an example of, let's just use a food example. You know, you've been eating crap food and it's like, okay, I'm going to start cooking myself better dinners. Okay, great. Well, I'm cooking myself better. I've always wanted to, you know, just do that extra gym session. I'm going to do that extra gym session. Okay, now I'm training 3 times a week. Far out, I've been really putting off competing. Okay, I'm going to start competing. And like these are big steps, so it's probably a lot of more little steps in between there. But like, once you start uncovering and doing the things that are difficult and the things that you're scared of, because fear is most often the direction that you need to move in to get to the next level of yourself and uncover that next level, those things that you're afraid of doing, and you start doing those things, then by nature, it's like you're reading a book. You're getting deeper into the book. You're going page by page. Eventually, you're going to come across a page of that book that is just like, oh shit, here we go. This has always been here. This has always been in the book, but now I'm aware of it, and I can either stop reading or I can close the book and just be like, well, that's uncomfortable and I'm not going to deal with it. You know what I mean? And sometimes people need to close the book and open up another book and read through it and complete that book and then come back to the other book so they can face it. And I'm not judging that, because I understand that. You know what I mean? But you still need to deal with it. And I promise you, once you come out the other side of that, you will have the most incredible experiences in your life that start to unfold. It doesn't mean that life just becomes this magical fairy tale. Shit's still hard. You know what I mean? Like, you've now lifted yourself up to a new baseline. Shit is more harder in general because you're still learning to be the better version of yourself. You know what I mean? Like, look at the top athletes and elite people in the world and what they do on a daily basis. It's fucking hard, but it's their new baseline now. That's where they're at. And it's just the same thing. You're slowly raising the baseline until your ability to deal with bigger problems becomes like more immense. And the only way to do that is to just keep doing the hard stuff that you've been avoiding. Some hard stuff takes a second. Some hard stuff takes 5 years. And it's a constant process. It's a constant battle. But this is life. This is life. That's why we're here. A huge part of why we're here is to overcome ourselves and become the better version of ourselves, you know? And if you listen to the lies, the things that make you heavier, and if you're religious, you know, the devil is in the lies, and, you know, Christ or Jesus or God is in I'm just trying to use as many different like ways you can look at it as you want. It's about moving towards the light part of yourself, the truth of yourself, the truth of your soul, because it's what you really want. And it's difficult, but that's the way you got to do it. You got to release trauma to get there sometimes, and you got to do the things that are uncomfortable and let out the emotion. And it's been made very difficult in Western society because there's so much shame around so many of the things that so many people want to do and strive to do.
What do you mean by lots of shame?
Okay, if I said, like, for example, something really deep and dark had happened in your past, people feel very shamed about opening up about that.
Oh.
You know what I mean? Like, it's like, there's so much shame around the things that people have done in their lives to, like, let that emotion go. For example, like, you know, say you were a pole dancer, you were a stripper or something like that, and it's like you don't want to talk about that, but you need to let that shame out and let that go and express that to someone, to somewhere. Maybe you need to go see I don't know. And yeah, you're too ashamed, or you're a young guy and your first time you ever had like a sexual experience was with another guy, and you were like, you know what I mean? It's like, that's shameful. And you don't want to talk about it. You don't want to express it. You don't want to touch upon it. You don't want to, but it's like you need to move through those things.
So it's them thinking it's shameful because we don't think that's shameful.
Yeah, exactly. No one, it's always the internal shame, but that internal shame is being created, you know, as like a projection from the world around you.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Wow. That was a lot.
Yeah.
Beautiful.
I've had a hectic 3 months, hey?
Yeah. No, I think that's cool because I don't know. I always hear about like traumas and like releasing them and all of this, and I'm kind of like,
oh my God,
I'm always curious. I'm kind of scared. I'm like,
no,
well, not scared,
yeah,
but like people will hear about my like past and what I went through when I was like during my childhood, and they'll be like, oh my God, that's crazy. That's so much. Like, I feel so sorry for you. But I'm kind of like, well, obviously it was really hard, but like I feel like I've come out like really strong and on top, but I'm always like in the back of my mind, I'm always like, am I secretly fucked up but I don't know it?
Yes, maybe. Maybe. We all are though. We're all fucked up. We are all fucked up. Like, and we're all perfect at the same time. Like, you would have superpowers because of that, and you would have potential weaknesses because of that. You know what I mean? But like, if your frame feels good about it, don't change it and don't dive into it. You know what I mean? It'll uncover itself in due time while you're doing the work anyway. Yeah. You know, it's like there's no point trying to skip to that chapter in the book now. Yeah. You know, like who knows? It could come out when you have your own kids. I don't know. Like, you never know what's going to happen.
Yeah, but you are right. Like, it does just like pop up. The other day I was just innocently making my bed, and then I just randomly asked myself a question, and then I instantly just replied in my head about something I had never realized that I had buried so deep in my mind. Wow. And then I was like, holy shit. Yeah. I do this and this and this because of something that happened when I was younger. And I'm like, wow. And it wasn't even like that terrible when I was younger, but because I was young, I thought that it was the end of the world. And I put a lot of emotion around it. And I'm like, oh, bless little Andy. So we had a little chat. It was great.
Yeah. Yeah, that's good. But it came out.
It did. I was like, random.
Yeah. Yeah. I like that. I think that's good though to have those moments. You know what I mean? It's like it's clearly showing that you're doing the work when those things come out.
Hey, you are doing the work, my man.
Hey, receive, okay? Receive, Andy.
Okay, sorry.
Receive, receive.
I was trying to also give.
Thanks, I appreciate that. It's okay. It's okay.
Okay, so is there any other big topic you would like to discuss?
There's always a big topic. Topic. There's a big topic. There's always topics. There's always topics. No, I feel so good. I just want to just get a mentor.
Get a mentor.
Get a mentor. Yeah, just so good. Get a mentor.
Yeah, agreed. Okay, so we like to end the podcast with the Fast Five.
Fast Five. Let's do it.
Yeah. So I'll ask you a question. You have to ask whatever comes to your mind.
I think I can do that.
Okay. Cool.
Yeah.
All right. What is the most life-changing book or podcast you have listened to or read?
First one that comes to mind, there's two.
Yep.
2 books, Atomic Attraction and The Way of the Superior Man, for me personally.
What's Atomic Attraction?
Atomic Attraction is a book about understanding women better.
Ah.
And it's it relates a lot about dating, young guys dating girls and things like that. That hugely changed my perception of women. It was
cool.
so good. And I believe that women should read it as well so you can understand men better.
Cool. Okay, so it's not just for one
No.
gender. It's
No.
for both genders.
Anyone can read it. It's a book made for men, but 100% women can read it. I think women would get so much value from it because you'll understand how men think.
Yeah, okay.
Yeah. And same with The Way of the Superior Man.
I have heard that book.
It
I
is
think Adam Green.
Incredible book for any man who is navigating life as a man, understanding masculine and feminine energy. Understanding everything to do with sex, work, relationships, mission. It's just all encompassing. It's such a beautiful book, and I truly believe that if you're in a relationship, both partners should read it.
Oh,
100%.
The Way of the Superior Man.
Yeah, because it'll help women understand how men think.
Okay.
You know what I mean? And I think that's so needed. You know what I mean? Sure, you might have a really happy, successful relationship, but I just think it's so important for men to understand women, and I think it's so important for women to understand men. And when you've got people who have written books that have been literally studied and designed by people who have been in and around this industry, psychologists and just experts in the field, it's just listen. You'll do yourself a favor. You'll have so much more romance.
Cool.
Yeah, it's so good.
I'm excited to, I think I might read that because...
Listen, it's better to listen.
Oh, you can listen to it?
Yeah, audiobooks.
Oh, of course, sorry.
Yeah,
what generation is she living in?
Come on.
Yeah, I think that's so cool because I think maybe in the last year I've truly realized of course we should all have equal opportunity and everything like that, but at the same time I do think there's a lot of differences and just things like if I go to my guy friends about a situation that I'm having, I go to them because I know that men tend to be fixers, and they're like, "Well, why don't you just do da 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 da?"
Exactly.
Whereas,
very logical.
you're very logical, and we love.
Yeah.
Whereas, if I'm experiencing something, but I know how I want to deal with it, but I more just want the comfort and the validation, I'll go to my girlfriends because they'll be like, "Fuck, that sounds really hard."
Yeah. Whereas the guy will be like, why don't you just talk to Brittany? Why don't you just leave? Why don't you just... And you're like, no, I don't...
do that?
I just want you to hug me.
I know. I'm like, stop trying to fix.
Yeah.
But now I know how the guys work, so that's why I will specifically go to...
Yeah, for sure.
Different.
Strategic.
Strategic.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah, it's very interesting. I think it's so powerful.
Yeah.
It's so cool.
Mm.
It's very special.
Yes.
Although now I'm thinking, I'm like, gee, I think I have a lot of male tendencies, with how I think. I think I'm very logical.
I think you are too, because
Yeah.
you've even said as soon as you came on today, you're in grind mode. You're so dedicated to grind. It's quite it's quite, you know what I mean? You're on a mission right now. You know what I mean? It's not a bad thing though.
No, I'm grateful for it.
That's good.
Yeah.
Yeah, you go.
Yeah, you go, Coco. Okay.
Yeah.
Okay, next question I have for you is who is one of your biggest inspirations in life, whether it's someone famous or a person in your life? You can pick 2 if you want.
I'm going to go 2. This is going to be super controversial.
Oh my God, if you're about to say who I think you're about to say, go for it.
Yeah. I'm going to say that one of my biggest inspirations right now is Andrew Tate.
Oh my God!
Yeah. I know, but I also...
No, it's okay. I'm not judging.
I also understand that people who hear this, they could have listened to this whole podcast and really enjoyed me and really liked me, and that will turn them off. And I just want to say, just if you enjoyed what I had to say and you agreed with the things that I was saying and you liked just take that. Anyway, I like this guy because he resonates with so many young men, and the reason he's become so big is because he's got the hearts of young men. Because young men in the world are very lost right now. They're without mission. And the things he talks to primarily are about working hard, becoming the best version of yourself, taking accountability, and that's his main message. The message that I know that gets spread to most other people is about him being a misogynist, is about him being a terrible person, all about money. Everything he has on the internet gets taken out of context for a group of people, and it's to maintain control because he has so much influence over young men, and young men who grow up are going to be the builders of society. And if you have control of young men and they become really, really strong, then all of a sudden society changes very easily and very quickly. That's why there's a lot of very weak men in the world right now, and powers that be want to keep it that way. And he's someone who is fully against that. That's why there are two completely different narratives against him and for him right now. And the narrative that I have seen, well, actually, I've seen both sides, and I know that really one side is complete and utter bullshit. And if anyone actually wants to dive into him and look at the long form content, it will change your mind. But most people aren't willing to do that because most people are like, why would I waste my time looking at him when he's this? And it's like, you're only saying that because that's what you got shown.
Yeah.
So,
I mean, I think it's a very big superpower to be able to, if you're listening, as you said, if you've listened to this podcast and you've loved what Kato said, and then you've heard that he likes Andrew Tate, I think it's such a superpower to be like, okay, I don't like him and I don't agree with that, but like, that's cool. I'm still going to take what you said before. Because I think if you expect the people who you look up to always say everything 100%, like Jordan Peterson, I really enjoy some of the stuff he says.
He would be the second person.
And then, I thought so. And then other things he says, I'm like, okay, I actually don't agree with that, but that's okay. I don't need to take out anything. Although I will say with Andrew, I did have a very open mind about him, okay? And I was like, do you know what? I'm not going to shut him down. I know his videos maybe get taken out of context. I'm going to listen to a podcast he was on. He didn't do himself. Some of the stuff I was like, okay. But some of the stuff I was like, you're not doing yourself any favors.
Yeah.
Like when he was like, when a woman marries a man, the man owns the woman. I'm like, ooh, ownership. And then we really the host really tried to pull that apart.
Yeah.
And Andrew didn't really help himself there.
That's fair enough. And
So
you know
I'm
what,
off
like,
the Andrew train.
That's fair enough. That's totally fine. You know what I mean? And it's like, I think it would be unfortunate to totally, let's just say I love the parts of him that talk about being the best version of yourself and being totally accountable. And I don't think anyone has motivated more people in the world to be a better version of themselves than he has.
Wow. Not Tony Robbins?
No, I think I think Andrew Tate has done hit a wider audience. Like Tony Robbins, sure, has definitely done an amazing job. I love Tony. I think he's an amazing guy.
Tony.
But like, if you were to look at the statistics and look at like the people that he has reached and the lives that he has touched, and these are good, honest, respectful men. I would call myself a good, honest, respectful man. You know, with good values and good morals and good intentions, and I'm not going to share everything that he has. And a lot of these guys don't share everything that Andrew has. But the parts that we do want and the parts that we do love is that he is someone who's at the top of so many realms in life. And it's not about aspiring to be at the top, but it's about being the best version of yourself that you can possibly be. And I just understand completely that if people are going to look and say, oh, yep, no, I don't like you anymore because you like fair enough, that's fair enough. I don't blame you. That's all good. But
well, I think as like a woman, of course, I'm going to, like, you're taking the good bits and I love that for you. Love that. But like for me, I was curious about him, but then I was like, well, the good bits, some of it I like, but it doesn't really relate to me. I'm a woman. And then the shitty bits he says does relate to me. So then I'm like, yeah, I'm off the train. But if you love him and you take the good bits,
100% take the good bits. you gotta take the good bits.
Okay, next question is, what is the best piece of advice you've ever received? It's gonna be hard. I'm sure you've gotten so many good nuggets.
I definitely have got lots of good nuggets.
Good little nuggies.
I'm gonna say, I love this quote on my arm. It's not the critic who counts. That's probably like the best, and that's actually something that my mum gave to my dad for their wedding. And it's not the critic who counts is essentially a quote by Theodore Roosevelt that says like, it's not the critic who counts, as in the person who is actually in the arena doing the work. They're the person who counts. That's the person who the credit belongs to, because there's always going to be someone in the crowd pointing their finger and throwing judgment and throwing shade on them. And it's like, who are they? They don't matter. You know what I mean? It's that whole thing that we talked about earlier about starting something. It's like, you're always better to start. You're always better to start instead of, being in the background and just not doing anything. So that's probably the best thing that I can think of that always often gets me through doing things. It's probably that.
Yeah, it's one of the most beautiful quotes. It's a chunky boy, but
It is a big one.
go look it up, because Brené Brown, do you know Brené Brown?
Yep.
Yeah, love Brené.
Yeah.
She always talks about that and how like being in the arena
Yeah.
is like terrifying and scary, and you feel so vulnerable. And she's like, but God, don't you feel alive?
Yeah.
And it's just like, doesn't matter if people in the audience are casting judgments, because you're in the arena.
Yeah.
And then if you're going through a hard time and you're feeling super vulnerable and you're scared, you can be like, yeah, but how proud am I for being in the arena and just doing it? Like, how awesome is that?
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
Yep. Special.
It is special. No, it is very special.
Okay. Are we up to question number 4 or 5?
4.
4. Okay. This is me always. I'm like, I don't know. Okay. What is your current kind of diet or morning routine or training? Diet, morning routine, training.
So I'm eating probably about 4,000 calories a day. Yeah. So current. Wait, just diet and morning routine.
Yeah. And workout.
And workout.
Yeah.
Okay. So currently running about 80 to 90 kilometers a week.
Yeah. Okay. That's a lot.
Yeah, that's a lot. Currently running that to fuel that. I usually have like four eggs. With is that better? 4 eggs, bunch of bacon. 2 pieces of toast. I'll also have like a protein bar during the day. I'll also have a steak and mashed potato dinner. Yeah. I'll also have a big chunky rice meal, maybe 2 of those with like some like naan breads. I usually have about 3 bananas. Yeah. Big glass of milk. Usually a couple more things in there, but it ends up being about 4,000 calories a day, and it's pretty standard, pretty staple. Like I tend to have that every single day.
And do you track or you just eyeball it?
No, I'm not tracking. I know I've measured it. And it's like 3,500 to 4,000. It's usually about a bit closer to 4,000.
Cool.
So I just have that every single day.
Nice. Sounds yummy.
1 coffee a day, usually in the morning. Morning routine as I wake up, I got a full like affirmation sort of list that I read out to myself. Very personal thing to me. It takes me about 5 minutes to read.
Holy shit.
Yep.
It's long.
Yep. And I read it out to myself every single day, preferably out loud. So I read that out to myself. I do a daily manifest. And so I look at my priorities, and my priorities are usually the same. So it might be like, in my business, I've got to get this thing sorted out or something like that. And I usually have about 5 or 6 priorities at the same time. So every morning I'm looking at the key things that I've got to be doing in my life right now. And I call it the daily manifest, and I plan my day. So I basically just write out and plan my day, and I talk about how I want my day to go. I want this to feel like this. I want this to be like this. I want this to be like this. And then once I've done that, I have a morning meditation, and there's a couple of different ones. One of them is 5 minutes. One of them is like 20 minutes. Sometimes I don't do it in the morning. Sometimes I do that at night.
Yeah.
Obviously brush my teeth, get ready, get dressed for the day, eat a bunch of food before I go anywhere if I got time.
And do you work out before or usually after work?
My workout has been like all over. Sometimes in the morning, sometimes in the afternoon. Today I've got to run 20 kilometers.
Nice.
Yeah. So it's getting good.
Yeah, because you're training for a big old one, aren't you?
Big 100-kilometer race coming up in 4 weeks.
4 weeks?
Yeah, no way. It's close. Yeah, very close. Less than 4 weeks, actually. Oh, wait. Yeah, less than 4 weeks.
Jesus Lord, where's this at?
This is in Katoomba.
Oh, yeah, Katoomba.
Yeah. Blue Mountains, Sydney.
Is it going to be cold?
Yeah, it's going to be very cold.
Oof.
Yeah, very cold, very hilly, very uncomfortable.
Wow, I'm so excited for you.
I'm very excited too, eh?
Oh.
I'm super keen. It's going to be great.
It's the furthest you've run, right?
Yeah, furthest I've run.
Oh, do you think you're going to cry when you finish?
Nah, probably not. I might cry during though, I reckon.
Yeah.
I did a 50 on the weekend and that was hectic.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, that was hectic.
Did you cry then?
I did a little bit.
Aww.
I did a little bit. No, it wasn't an moment. It was like a grindy, sweaty fucking.
Oh, right.
I'm in pain. Like,
Yeah.
oh yeah, that shit sucks. That sucks. It really sucks. But like, I'm doing it because I just want to train the mind. It's one of the things that I have to do. Like when I first started with this mentor, I got off the phone with him, and the first thing I did after our first call was run a half marathon, and I wasn't a runner. Like I've only really been running the last 3 months.
Wow.
And it's just gone step by step by step by like level up. Yeah. So it's been pretty intense.
Yeah, that's awesome.
Yeah, it's good.
Okay, glad I asked about that. Okay, the last question I have for you
I'm ready.
is if you could embed a habit or a mindset into the listeners' ears so that they can go and be the best versions of themselves, what would it be?
Awareness of who is talking, the strong version of yourself or the weak version of yourself.
That's powerful.
Yeah, 100%.
I call her bad bitch Andy.
Bad bitch Andy.
Yeah, I'm like, if I, now that you've explained that, I've realized that I do that, but I didn't have like the knowledge of the vocabulary for it.
Yeah, I didn't either, but like I think it's so handy.
It is.
Handy.
Exactly. Handy. And then you can, sometimes you'll be in a situation and you can be like in victim, and then I'll be like, Andy, remember who the fuck you are.
Yeah,
and I'm like, oh yeah.
Yes.
I'm a bad bitch.
Yeah, for sure.
I'm a bad bitch.
Yeah, for sure.
And then powerful Andy will step up.
100%, yeah.
Yeah.
And you can train the weak version of yourself to be stronger, like the strong version of yourself, and then they can work together.
Oh,
that's what I learned.
Partners
like
in crime.
100%, because you can have like one of them be like, oh shit, this is no, you got this. Oh yeah, we got this. Like it's super cool. Like you notice that happen about things as well.
Yes.
You got to bring them up together. It's like they're big brother and little brother.
Yeah, it's like self-talk.
Mm.
I think if you're in a situation, always imagine what your best friend or your sibling would say to you.
Yeah.
Because sometimes your mind can be like, oh, why haven't you done this and all of this? And then like that's not helpful. So it's like, hey, you got this.
Yeah.
Keep going.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. 100%.
And allowing yourself to find things hard.
Yeah.
As soon as I'm like, hey, you're allowed to find this hard, but let's do it anyway.
100%. You're allowed to hurt. This is probably supposed to hurt, and you've got to figure out how to accept it and keep going. Because if you just focus on the pain, it's like, well, okay, you can, but it's just going to suck even more. Just let it hurt. Let it hurt and keep going. It's going to hurt.
Yeah. It's like picking a little scab, making it worse.
Exactly. The scab's there.
Just
the scab's
put a little
there.
Band-Aid over it.
You know what I mean? It's like fighting for the E in parent. You know? Like it's there, but you just got to accept it. It might hurt, but you've just got to accept it. There's no E. Right, so it's parent.
If you're watching on YouTube, can you please comment down below who pronounces it right?
It's parent.
And if you're listening,
I'm gonna get
please
told I'm
message
wrong.
it to me.
I know I'm gonna get told I'm wrong. They're gonna be like, Kato, you're full of shit. It's parent.
No, but we're open to new ideas here. Anyway, thank you so much for coming
You're
on.
so welcome. Thanks so much for having me. That was fun as.
This was beautiful. It flowed really well.
It was lovely. Thank you so much.
It was so nice doing a podcast that was not like structured and we could just go wherever we wanted to go.
Yes,
and
absolutely.
you're the perfect person to do that with.
Thank you so much. I appreciate it.
So thank you.
You're so welcome. Thanks so much for having me, Andy.
Of course. So if people are like, Kato sounds like a vibe, where can I find Kato? Where can we find you?
Just on Instagram at the moment. Not super active on Instagram, but it's coming. So just Kato_Kato.Sibthorpe. So Kato.Sibthorpe on Instagram. It's the best place for me.
And I'll also put it in the show notes.
Yeah.
And if they want to do the parkour thing.
Oh, yeah. If you have any kids between the age of 4 and like 16 years old, 100% bring them to the Movement Academy. So it's _the_movement_academy.
Because the Movement Academy wasn't available.
Yeah, just the plain Movement. Trust me, I tried so many things. There's a couple of other Movement Academies out there apparently. You know what I mean? So yeah, go on there on Instagram and let's get started.
Yes.
Get some kids doing some ninja flips.
Beautiful. Yeah. I one time took a class.
Oh, yeah, because I did the adult classes. Yeah.
That's how our friendship blossomed.
Oh, no, yeah, you took the class. Oh, yeah, that's right.
Yeah.
Sorry.
Yeah.
I was thinking about that on the way here, yeah. Andy was my coach.
I was. And I can't even do like a handstand.
No, but they didn't know that.
No, they didn't know that.
They didn't know that.
I'd be like, who can demonstrate? Because I can't do it.
Yeah, that's so good. I love that.
Okay. Anyway, guys, thank you so much for listening. I'm always so grateful for your time and energy. If you did enjoy it, feel free to leave a review. That really helps. Click follow or subscribe, whichever platform you're on, because that helps even more. And if you're feeling crazy, feel free to screenshot it, put it on your story and share it around. I would love to know who is listening. So you can tag me. My Instagram is @Andy.Bentley_. But more importantly, the podcast is Attitudes with Andy. So go follow that because that's a new one. And we're trying to build it up. Yeehaw. Anyway, thanks guys. I'll see you guys next week for another episode. Bye.
See ya.